Welcome to The Kingdom, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics and a land defended by Sir Ross's Knights. Now here's your host, Rocco Geppi.
Hello Knights Nation and welcome to The Kingdom Podcast. I'm your host, Rocco Geppi, and we are nearly a month into the fall 2021 campaign. The Kingdom is buzzing. 2 nationally ranked soccer teams, a cross-country program making great strides, and women's basketball just on the horizon that should be nationally ranked as well. We'll get started this week with our update on cross-country. And last week, they traveled to Lebanon, Pennsylvania for the Dutchmen Invitational hosted by Lebanon Valley College. The men and women both running good races, improving on their results from last week. We'll start on the women's side. Madison Magaha of Patapsco High School, she dropped over 2 minutes off of her 5K time from last Friday and jumped all the way up to 12th fastest time in Knights history with a time of 23 minutes, 49 seconds. Natalia Johnson from Sparrows Point, she ran in her first race of the season. Head coach Noah Hutton said she ran a smart race and a respectable 28 minutes, 1.2 seconds, and this in her first ever 5K race. So the ladies doing very well so far, 2 weeks into the season, and we congratulate them on their progress. Going now to the men's side, and Braden Berkey, he continues to impress. He continued this week leading the men's team. He had a strong 30 minutes, 14.9 seconds on his 8K time to earn the 10th fastest time in CCBC Essex history. This was also his first 8K race of his career. And right behind him, Sam Smith, an Eastern Tech graduate, running a respectable 33:16.7. He finished second on the team and achieved the 18th fastest 8K time in Essex history. Patrick Bennett of Patapsco, Isaiah Hawley from Overley, and Izzy Romero out of Archbishop Curley all rounded out the top 5 finishers for the Knights, and they all finished within 10 seconds of each other at the Lebanon Valley College Dutchmen Invitational. Men and women continue to build off of their success, and in 2 weeks they will head to the Dickinson Long and Short Invitational. Half of the men are going to run the 4K race, and half the men will run in the 8K race. And when that happens, we'll have an update and information for you on that meet as well. So again, congratulations to Cross Country. They continue to make strides and improve, and we'll talk about them again in a couple of weeks after the Dickinson Long and Short. Moving now on to the pitch, and we're going to start this week with men's soccer. They continue to sit number 1 on the NJCAA Division II rankings, taking down conference and regional foe Howard Community College 2-1 in overtime on September 14th. This game was on the road and was physical. Howard got on the board first in the 12th minute on a penalty kick, and the score stayed that way through halftime. Then Toga Katsuma got things even in 1 minute into the second half with his 3rd goal of the season. In the 8th minute of overtime, sophomore Kota Tsuchizawa registered the game winner, assisted by his fellow Japanese countryman Kazuma Ishizuka, and the Knights escaped Columbia with a 2-1 victory. Both keepers in that game, Howard's and the Knights' Brendan Lamaster, played well. Howard's keeper with 7 saves, Lamaster stopping 2 of the 3 shots that came his way. With the win, the Knights are now 5-0, and they will turn their sights onto Monroe College, who comes to town this Saturday. The Mustangs come in as the 11th ranked Division I team and are currently 2-1. Their only loss came to Salt Lake Community College. It was a 3-0 final in their season opener. Since then, they have defeated Montgomery College and Mercer County 6-0 and 5-0, respectively. The Mustangs are 3-2 against the Knights over the last 5 matches, the last coming in 2018. Essex last defeated Monroe in 2015 in overtime, and during the spring 2021 season, Monroe only played 4 games with some COVID restrictions and different travel restrictions going on in Monroe. They went 3-1, and they returned 13 student athletes that were on that spring squad. The Knights men will take on Monroe, like I said, this Saturday at 4 p.m., and make plans to either come by the Kingdom and watch that one, or you can watch online through our live stream at CCBC Essex Knights YouTube channel. It's simply keyword search, or you can go to youtube.com/CCBC Essex Knights. We're going to take a quick 15-second break here after a quick word from CCBC, and we'd greatly appreciate it if you stick around for the second half of our show. You're listening to the Kingdom Podcast, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics.
Let's talk about college. Times have changed, and I say no to an education at the cost of crippling debt, because paying off student loans for the next 30 years is not in my financial plans.
Rethink what's possible with CCBC. Visit us online and see what you can be.
We are back. Thank you for staying with us, and we appreciate your time. It's going to be a quick episode this week. We are looking at our schedules, and it looks like we will have some guests on next week's show, so make sure to come back and tune in for that. That will be episode number 7, as we are racking up the episodes here today with episode 6, season 4 of the Kingdom Podcast. And as we head into this final segment, which is brought to you by our sponsor, Chick-fil-A Nottingham Square, the official CFA partner of the Kingdom, we're going to talk women's soccer. And on the pitch for the women this past week, it was an average week for the Knights women's soccer team. At least that's how I think they would describe it. Essex dropping its first game of the season last Sunday to Monroe Community College, a final 2-1 in overtime. The Tribunes, they struck first in the 3rd minute of play, and the match would go more than 67 more minutes until the next score, as guess who? Kara Dietrich stepped up and finished a pass from new teammate Patricia Rivera to tie the game. However, with 6 seconds remaining in the first Golden Goal overtime, the Tribune score the game winner and get out of the Kingdom with a 2-1 victory. What should not be overshadowed in this game is the play by the Knights keeper Sydney Baker. Baker, the true freshman, finished the game with 17 saves, and many of which, because I was there to witness them, helped the Knights even get this game to overtime. Baker playing out of her mind in that game to help out her squad to fall to the Tribunes 2-1, but she played a wonderful game between the pipes. The Knights, however, they wasted no time feeling sorry for themselves, and on Wednesday they went over to Columbia, Maryland to face the Dragons. The Dragons, a bit of a thorn in the Knights' side last season, defeating Essex on 2 straight occasions before the Knights bested them in the Mid-Atlantic District Championship to earn themselves an automatic bid to Nationals. And Essex would use the first half scoring barrage to dispatch the Dragons 4-2 this past Wednesday. Dietrich scored in the 5th minute of play, followed by Mackenzie Hunt from Dietrich in the 8th minute of play. Dietrich would then add goals in the 16th and 31st minutes of play, with Howard scoring in the 23rd and 83rd minutes. Baker again, huge between the pipes for the Knights, finishing with a game-high 8 saves. Heading into Saturday's match with Monroe College, Dietrich sits on 97 career goals. The last time the Mustangs and the Knights met was in the 2019 Mid-Atlantic District Championship, where the Stangs won 6-1, Dietrich assisting on the Knights' lone goal that year. Monroe comes in ranked number 8 in Division I for the NJCAA, and comes to Essex 3-1 overall, having lost also to Salt Lake. They won their next 3 games by a combined 20-0, with their last game on Wednesday against Division II, number 18 ranked Sussex, which ended 2-1. Knights and Mustangs will kick off our soccer doubleheader this Saturday at 2 p.m. Again, make sure to get out to the Kingdom, where spectators are welcome. If you can't make it, go to the YouTube home of the Knights, youtube.com/CCBC Essex Knights. Folks, I know that was the last segment, but just a little bit of information as student athletes for all of our teams continue to file into the Kingdom. First, talk about our spring sports. Our baseball team, with more than 50 student athletes this fall season, they got their fall season kicked off the other day with a scrimmage, and things are progressing well for the Knights baseball team, also led by Sean O'Connor. And the other spring team around the fall right now is Sean Burke's led Knights men's lacrosse team, the men's lacrosse team with more than 60 student athletes in camp right now. And we're looking forward to seeing both of those teams in action in the spring season. Finally, the Knights women's basketball team, they have been on campus for a couple of weeks and practices have commenced. They are working hard to get ready for this season. It'll be the first time they hit the hardwood since March 2020. And trust me when I tell you, they are anxious to get back. One of the student athletes that returns from that 2020 team, Kendall Haggerty, and the Knights roster featuring double-digit NCAA Division I transfers that are looking to come to the junior college ranks and recruit back out for some better opportunities and something that works best for them and the school with which they end up going. But talking with head coach Mike Sini, the group is really progressing in a way that he would like to see them progressing. Of course, none of us will know much until we get going in the preseason pretty regularly. But that information coming more as we get closer to October. Right now, what we can tell you is that you're going to like what you see from the Knights women's basketball team this year. That's all the time we have for this week's episode. As I said, it's going to be a quick episode, and we thank you for sticking around and sitting through the episode with us. Next week, we will have our first guests of the season, so make sure to check back with us and enjoy that show as well. And make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We're at CCBC Essex Sports. Of course, on Facebook and YouTube, you can just keyword search CCBC Essex Athletics. Our website, ccbcessexknights.com. And for our women's and men's soccer teams and our cross-country team, their team handles and social media links are in the episode description. We thank you again for tuning in this week, and hope you'll stick around with us all season long. Until next time, so long and be well. Bye-bye.